Zack Snyder's version of his Justice League film has been available now for about 18 months, and there certainly has been a variety of opinion about how good it is or not, but thankfully I find I'm rather surprised by it. Justice League was originally released in 2017 after Zack Snyder stepped down as director following the sudden death of his daughter, and Joss Whedon was employed by Warner Brothers to get the film completed, directed, edited, everything that needed doing and out to the cinemas. However, they stipulated a running time of around 2 hours. And that's fundamental really, because cinemas do rely on a maximum running time, not much over 2 hours, in order to guarantee enough screenings in a day to keep a cinema viable, to get the patrons in, and the all-important kiosk sales that help to keep cinemas afloat. A reduced number of screenings would not only have an adverse effect on individual cinemas, but also possibly the potential for worldwide box office of the film itself. And so was it any surprise then that Warner Brothers stipulated a running time of 2 hours to cut down what was a mammoth epic from Zack Snyder that, if all reports are believed, Warner Brothers executives were apparently not too happy with, some branding it unwatchable. The 2017 release had an estimated budget of $300 million and took at the worldwide box office $657 million. Estimates vary between 60 and 70 million as the overall loss to Warner Brothers. So could it be that this really wasn't as bad as Warner Brothers were expecting, and maybe that Whedon version did actually pave the way for the Snyder Cut 4 years later? The test screenings of both versions of the film had indicated that the Whedon cut was the more successful of the two, but I do think that the running time might have had something to do with that, because people generally don't seem to be too enthusiastic to sit down for anything for 4 hours. But, as I said, did that Whedon version pave the way for what we now know as Zack Snyder's Justice League? There was, of course, also the big fan campaign to get the Snyder Cut, as it's become known, released, but this version was completed in October 2020 after reshoots, editing and special effects were all completed, and apparently around $70 million extra was spent on that process. So it was a major investment again for Warner Brothers, and it was intended initially for a 6-part miniseries on HBO Max apparently, but ultimately what we got was a 4 hour and 2 minutes Zack Snyder epic. It's been an interesting process going through this trouble production. It comes on 2 discs, so we split it over 2 evenings, and thanks to Punch for Pound successfully lowering my expectations and making the mistake of watching the truly awful trailer, I ended up rather enjoying the film. Clearly it has its problems, such as some inappropriate songs, the worst of the bunch being left for the end credits, but to be fair, that was probably reserved for the commemoration of Zack Snyder's daughter, who died just towards the end of making it in 2017. But also the use of the F word on occasion, which does seem to limit the audience to the more adolescent market, and perhaps us adults who never grew up, but also some really poor CGI. But to be fair again, I think this film is one of those that's so spectacular, there was so much to do, that we just have to accept that sometimes the animation is not going to match up to the rest of the film. So all in all, there's not really that much to be concerned about, but there is quite a bit of violence, and that is why I think we've got the 15 certificate over here, and I believe it's R in America. So a few things to bear in mind, but if you're into dark looking superhero films, and a lot of superheroes in this, just about all the DC characters except for perhaps the Green Lantern, then this one may be one that you're going to enjoy. The picture quality is good. It was shot Super 35 and it was full frame Super 35, so that means it's all 4 sprockets of the 35mm frame, and I believe that was so it could be blown up for use in genuine IMAX theatres, and youngsters would presumably be fooled into thinking they were looking at genuine IMAX, when in actual fact it's just damn good Kodak Vision 35mm, and it does prove how good these modern film stocks are. So more of that please, you top filmmakers out there. Let's get back to using the best tools of the trade, and although video is coming on a bundle, and I think ambulance for all that shaky camera, I think it has proved that video can do the job, but there's something about the look of film. Now yes, it's not as good where the special effects appear, and it is rather grey, so it's not the best use of colour, but overall I think it's very sharp and very good to look at. The aspect ratio is the old Academy 1:3:3:1, and I really liked it. However, unless you have a home cinema with masking capabilities, then you are going to have black bars down the side, but in my opinion, I thought it suited the film. The sound is Dolby Atmos and an option for 5.1, which I used in here, and it is going to be among the best that you've ever heard. So that really was the big ingredient for me, I think, why I enjoyed it, because a lot of the time I couldn't really take too much notice of what was going on screen because it was so fast moving at times. The action was fast moving. It wasn't full of quick cuts and shaky camera like Ambulances, so it wasn't that bad, but there were times where there was so much going on it was just too much for me to take in, and I just let it wash over in front of me. But I was behind the characters, which surprised me. I actually liked all the main characters in this, and my one criticism of it is, just like The Edge of Tomorrow with Tom Cruise, the aliens in this just are quite poor, and that seems to be a common theme, that nowadays I think all aliens have to be done in a computer in order to outdo what has been done before, and they're just not working for me, and I'm sure others out there find the same thing. Others will disagree with me, I'm sure, and that's fine. That's what this is all about, and one of the big advantages of this channel is we do have some very good civil discussions in the comments. So overall, I found this film was good fun. It's not brilliant, it's not going to be the best film you've ever seen, and I know I say that quite often, but really it's aimed at a certain market and those people who really love superhero films. And I suppose the Marvel films have done a similar thing where they've brought the Avengers together so all the main characters are in one, and it seems to be what many people want. So in the end I think this one was probably a financial success. Took 2 releases, 2 cinema outings, but ultimately HBO Max seems to have really tipped it over the edge and hopefully made Warner Brothers some money so they can go on funding some more movies in the future. However, after running disc 2 of Justice League, we put on the Tim Burton's 1992 Batman Returns just to look at a few scenes, and it's interesting how much better the image quality is on a 35mm film made in 1992. That's just my impression at the moment, might change it when I've watched the whole film, and I'm not sure if I'm going to do a review of this one. I have to see how good I think it is and how interesting I think the film is now, but certainly looked interesting in terms of picture quality on that sneak peek we just had. So Zack Snyder's Justice League, it hasn't actually done badly on home media over here in the UK. On Blu-ray alone in 2021, it sold 21,000 copies apparently, so it's doing pretty well. I don't know what it sold on 4K, I haven't been able to find those figures, and it probably didn't sell quite as well on DVD as Blu-ray, for movies at least. It does seem to be taking over the lead from DVD. But what I did find out was the total of all disc sales in the UK in 2021 was just over 21 million. So, who says home movies are dead? I enjoyed it, as I say, and I particularly liked once more the Henry Cavill and Ben Affleck portrayals, and they have still kept that physique with those amazing muscles they somehow put on for Batman v Superman. But I also really like the portrayal of the Flash. Now, he's not the most interesting DC superhero character, but he was one of the lesser ones that I did used to read occasionally, and I never came across Cyborg, but he's very good too. They're all very good. And although I wouldn't want to see individual films of all those superheroes, I think Batman and Superman do probably have some life left in them yet. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like and perhaps consider subscribing so I'll be encouraged to carry on creating content like this again in the future. Till the next video, bye bye for now.